Beast mode, beast mode, beast mode, beast mode, beast mode, beast mode. Call Poppy, tell him send another kilo. I hang with chinos, negros, chinkos. Snatch my soul, now look at how she deep though. Baddest chick I ever seen though. I pray that all your good outweigh your evil. And I know your future, you can call me Cleo. You the type trying to die just to be a hero. You the type that'll lie just to boost your ego. We come and take your life, you can call that repo. Never posting where I'm posted, better find me Nemo. Peep my stilo, I'm not Creole, man they boy not Creole. I see you lack a lot of courage, so we call you Leo. I wish a hater would try me, you get turned to weed smoke. She left me when I loved her, now my heart is frio. Beast mode, beast mode, beast mode, beast mode, beast mode, beast mode. Call Poppy, tell him send another kilo. She deep though. Baddest chick I ever seen though.
transphobia is beta behavior, and you are a beta male. You should leave.
Get out, man!
No, I'll take the mic.
I am serious. Get out.
So what would cause a liberal lynch mob to attempt to shut me down and intimidate attendees before I uttered a word?
You fascist? You look like one.
Do I?
Yeah.
You know, if we ask you a few questions?
No, I do mind. Thank you.
What?
My producer attempted to find out why so many people seemed hell-bent on keeping me out.
What brings you out here today?
There is a extremist speaker that is speaking at UB tonight.
I have some transgender friends, and they were really hurt by it.
You can argue with a transgender person all day. You can say, hey, and they'll tell you, listen, this has been around forever. We've been doing this for a very long time. We have always been out here. We've been around since the Roman Act, and be whatever you want to be openly. Because back in the day, it was not allowed. If you did, there were consequences. Now that those consequences are actually disappearing, it's like, all right, well, I'm out here. I'm going to do and see and act and do and be who I want to be. Which is that when you're trying to push that idea on other people, no one is trying to say that if that's what you are and that's who you believe you are and what you being said is don't push this narrative on everyone. Don't let other people live in your delusion because you want to be comfortable. Because your comfortability is making other people uncomfortable. And vice versa. So, that's where we kind of are with it.
I a lot of the news and a lot of what was happening. I wanted to stand with my community.
I think you just perpetuate hate towards lots of people that don't deserve it.
Oh, well, I'm sorry you feel that way, but I think you're mistaken.
This many people are here because they don't believe in that hate. They don't want to continue the hate. We're here because we want to drown out the noise that he's making.
Have you ever watched one of Michael Knowles' speeches or seen his show in its entirety, not just one of the clips?
I have not, no. I don't need to, though.
College students are often uninformed. That's why they're in college. They're supposed to get educated. But it seems they all had the same reason for hating me specifically.
For the good of society, and especially for the good of the poor people who have fallen prey to this confusion, transgenderism must be eradicated from public life entirely.
I have seen some of his comments about the trans community specifically.
Saying that trans people should be eradicated from our communities.
You shouldn't be saying that they should be eradicated.
No, the thinking, portraying it in your cartoons to fill up, you're pretty much confusing the children while they're still young. You're allowing children to get puberty blockers. You're allowing them to, all right, if a boy is just acting flamboyant, you be like, oh yeah, you might be gay, So maybe you should want to do this or you want to do that. You're bringing them into this idea already of things that maybe is just a phase, instead of giving them that opportunity to be able to thrive in a healthy space, which has been done for all of the lifetime. Not only mommy and daddy anymore. That's not the standard. Because daddy could be mommy and mommy could be daddy. It's now you're confusing the children into believing certain things that they don't need. So he's not saying transgender people need to be eradicated. He's saying transgenderism, the thought, the idea, eradicated because it's not good for the society that we live in. Maybe not for the adults, but definitely, maybe for the adults it's okay because they're healthy and it's not needed. It's really not needed,
Can I just tell you, we're not going to fucking eradicate anyone. You guys.
I don't want to eradicate anybody either.
He does.
Now, where could they have gotten that idea?
Numerous headlines after this speech said he wants to get rid of transgender people.
Basically just calling for the eradication of trans people.
Literally calling for a genocide.
Genocidal call?
What else could you possibly mean besides getting rid of those people?
Now, that was all news to me. I never considered myself a particularly genocidal kind of guy, but that's what the news said. Almost as if the entire liberal establishment had been intentionally lying about what I said. The university administration dug in its heels and did nothing to correct the record before my speech. Instead, the administrators doubled down on the defamation. Unfortunately, the university only allowed 300 people to come listen to this speech, even though about 1,000 people tried to get tickets. Now, among those who got in, there were a lot who liked what I had to say, but there were even a few who came in prepared to disagree with me. And they sat down not just to hear the speech, but sat down opposite me to hash out our differences in person.
When one calls to eradicate cancer, one is not suggesting that we ought to murder the cancer patients. Right. So how did these liberal news editors come up with their headline that I wanted to commit a genocide of transgender people? Freedom itself cannot exist without limits. The question before us is not how free our society ought to be, but rather what will delineate the limits of freedom.
Becca, thank you for sitting down.
Of course.
Camilla, Karime, thank you for sitting down. You were outside of the auditorium with the protesters of this speech. Why were you protesting?
I was genuinely wondering how a man is going to explain how radical feminism is hurting women.
Did I convince you?
No, not really, no. I think you brought up some good points on like how there are certain types of feminism that aren't great because there's always a radical something that's not good. There's always going too far and doing too little.
I saw your poster also, and I was like, oh, it's just like another speaker just coming in and talking. And then I started saying transgenderism should be eradicated. And as you know, eradicated it's a big word, and
yeah, eradicate, it's 5 syllables.
Yeah. But it could be taken into different things to destroy and everything like that and to get rid of, which I think that's where you were going with.
That is very much, yeah.
Get rid of.
Yeah.
I have some transgender friends, and they were really hurt by a lot of the news and a lot of what was happening. I wanted to stand with my community.
My argument is not, as some newspapers very irresponsibly reported, that I want to, exterminate people or something. But my argument is that this whole idea of transgenderism is pretty new. You both have friends who identify in this way. There are many more people, right, who say, I am transgender. And so my question is, why are so many more people saying that now?
You said that this being transgender is this new ideology.
Yeah.
It's not. There's evidence of people who were transgender in ancient Greece, Rome. Judaism is an example of a religion that acknowledges, I think, 6 or 7 genders.
I don't think that's quite true. And my evidence for that would be in the very first book of the Torah, in Genesis. One of the most prominent lines is that in the beginning, God created man, both male and female created he them.
It's not but Judaism. I think what the original translation, I can't cite my source right now, okay? But from what I've learned going to different religious schools is that
Jewish schools?
Just synagogues, temples, I've tried and experienced different religions. They said that the original text said Adam and Eve as in one being, one.
Well, man. So in the earliest chapters of Genesis, you have the creation of man in Adam. And then Eve is created from Adam's rib, but she would be the other sex. What you're citing is this line that a lot of people who are pro-transgender will say, which is, actually in some Native American tribe that I can't quite name right now, I'm sure they believe in a third and a fourth and a fifth gender, but that just isn't true. That is that's been made up by white liberals.
You know the movie Mulan, Disney Mulan?
I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it.
Mulan,
Yeah.
dresses as a man, right, goes to war. That's based off of true history.
Oh yes, cross-dressing has
Not
occurred in
just
history.
cross-dressing, but people who
In
went
Mulan, did the female character think she was a man?
No.
Oh, okay.
Why there's so many spikes and like people saying that they're transgender is because people are much more comfortable now, like going out and saying that they're like transgender because they know that there now is like that community that will accept them.
What if they're not really comfortable though? There's a guy who pioneered the transgender surgery at Johns Hopkins. His name is Dr. Paul McHugh, and he created the Gender Identity Clinic, and he gave these experimental surgeries to men who thought they were women. And he ended up shutting it down because he said people were not more satisfied in the long run after the surgery. Is it possible that people expressing this transgender identity is not really making them all that happy?
No. Okay. Male transitioning into female. So my aunt, she was never happier than she was after she transitioned. So she's happy, like she's living her life now that she's transitioned. And it's like, you never know, like what if they can't feel that way if they stayed how they were?
Do you think that the person you now call your aunt, do you think that, I would say he, really is a she, it really is a woman? Or is it just kind of a little bit of a white lie that we all tell to make this person feel better?
No, I think it is, like I think they actually are like female.
Can I ask you a question though?
Please,
Like,
yeah.
do you have kids?
Yeah.
Hypothetically, right, saying like if your kids want to transition and they tell you like they don't feel like how they,
Yeah.
how would you respond?
Well, I would hope that the likelihood of that happening would be greatly diminished because I would not be raising them in a culture, the ideology. We do see that in communities and ages that are more encouraging of it, you see the numbers of gender identity cases skyrocket. So I think the fact that we're raising our children in a more traditional kind of environment would at least reduce the possibility. More than 1 in 5 Zoomers identifies as LGBTQ+. That's about a 10-fold increase over the general population.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously this is catching on.
Because now they can.
1 in 5 people is just born that way. You don't think there's any social contagion?
I, again, can't cite the exact source. In my biology class here in this school, we learned that there are some biological indicators for gay men. They have a smaller gland in their brain that shows up on scans.
Even if that were the case, that wouldn't change the way that we necessarily ought to behave. The way that we are born does not imply that we are slaves to our nature, because human beings, unlike the lower animals, have intellect and will. And so because we have a rational will, we can actually curb some of our appetites and bring them into accord with our rational will, which is conscious. Let's say, God forbid, that my kid has any problems, one of which is he struggles with his view of sex or gender. Probably what I would tell him is, hey, love you, buddy, but this is reality. And so I would try to ballast my kids or any loved one that I have in the truth, because there's a great quote from C.S. Lewis on this. He says, if you neither truth nor comfort, only soft soap and wishful thinking to begin, and in the end, despair. Despair because you got nothing to hold on to other than your own fleeting passions.
I have lots of trans friends.
You have lots of friends who think they're the opposite sex.
I have lots of friends
But
who
what if they're
identify
mistaken
as
about
trans.
that?
What?
What if they're wrong? What if
you're wrong about being straight?
I guess I would still behave as though I were straight. My view of sex and gender is that our true sexuality and our true gender is not from some deeply hidden and authentic appetite that might be invisible to the public, but is actually prescribed according to our human nature.
But who are you to tell people that they're wrong?
Well, I'm a man with reason and a moral conscience.
And I am a woman with reason. And I think it's not my place to tell somebody that what they're feeling is wrong.
You just told me that I'm wrong about transgenderism. I'm saying how we all choose to live is our business because we live in society.
Why is it my business if somebody identifies as a woman or not?
Well, because right now women are allowed to have their own bathrooms, and if a man is allowed to identify as a woman in public, women are not allowed to have their own
Do you know
bathrooms.
a man can just walk into the bathroom at any time, right?
But he'll be arrested in a normal society. In our society, he could sue if he were kicked out of the women's bathroom.
People aren't just identifying as trans to look up girls' skirts.
Well, some people are. Some people, there are crimes. Well, there was a pretty prominent crime in Loudoun County, raped 2 girls at 2 different schools, and it was covered up because of the transgender ideology.
See, I can't swear on it. That's messed up.
It's messed up. It's messed up.
So
I agree.
there, right? One example, but to generalize that to all.
I'm not opposed to transgenderism because I think some individual who thinks he's transgender is a really rotten fella. In fact, I'm only opposed to transgenderism because of the general fact that a man can't become a woman and a woman can't become a man, because I can know that to be true. And if I can't know that to be true objectively, then I can't really know much of anything at all, right?
They choose, to go through those transformations in order to like feel like their soul and their body actually like resonates.
So is the idea that your true identity is your soul and your body is only incidental to that? That because to even say your true identity, I think, well, your true identity has got something to do with your body, I think. I don't think your true identity has nothing to do with your body, right?
Yeah,
I think
I would
we
say
are.
that.
We are our souls. And I think, growing up in a Catholic church, I think of myself as my soul. And I think that my body, it's my flesh. It's temporary.
Are you still Catholic, would you say?
No.
No. Because, the Catholic idea is, yes, of course, we are souls in part, but we are also bodies, and that our bodies and souls have a lot to do with one another, and they're inseparable. So, the Catholic idea would be to say that your soul is contradicting your body. That would not go along with the Catholic idea. And it's very interesting that there's this new, maybe religious view, which is that no, our bodies, has nothing to do with our true selves. That view is called Gnosticism, Gnostic dualism. How do you know that you're not really, at least in part, your body?
They always say mind over body, because your brain, it's the thing that controls like everything, like sends off like these signals and.
But your brain is your body too. Your mind is not your body. That's the immaterial part, but the brain is part of your body. It's an organ, right?
Well, yeah.
My primary problem with transgenderism is that it isn't true. And because it's false, there are harmful consequences from it.
They're not
Deprivation of women's rights in private spaces, the mutilation of children, which now we're seeing just abound in the country, the sterilization of children. So I think there are a lot of pretty concrete harms.
Did you know that hormone therapy was made for like girls who get their periods at the age of 6? You can go on estrogen and it will go back.
It doesn't. That's what they tell you, but it's not true. And there are a lot of detransitioners who talk about the lifelong effects that
lifelong. Okay, but it's not.
Detransitioners, women who have male pattern baldness and a lowered voice for the rest of their life, and who are sterile too. I mean, that's tough. You can't have kids.
And that happens. Okay, I probably can't have kids either. I have PCOS. So what?
Do you think we should sterilize more children?
It's not sterilizing kids.
No, that is. We were just talking about it.
It's really not, though. It's stopping them from going through puberty where they don't want to go.
I guess maybe we're just using different terms for the same thing.
Probably.
But in any case, I appreciate your coming on. And
I have something for you.
Okay.
I found it outside. I thought you'd really like it.
Is this a fan letter?
Oh, it is, yeah.
Yeah. Biden administration, I think.
Yeah, how'd you know? That's crazy.
It would appear I was not able to change the minds of these young students, but they came, they listened, and they had a conversation. So maybe, just maybe, I was able to plant a seed that could flourish in the future. That's thanks to Young America's Foundation, which puts on these campus events. These students, at least, were willing to come in and listen, not just spend the whole evening shouting outside. So perhaps down the line, those seeds of knowledge will flourish. We can hope, and we can hope that more students will be willing to cross that picket line at future campus events. We'll see you there.
that he would have more people. It was the actual speech, and then have the Q&A. It was the questions and answers, the Q&A, but that didn't happen. But I do think that, this is definitely a question. This is definitely something that needs to be talked about, needs to be put out there, and try not to have us live in the delusion of other people. Yeah, it is what it is, man. But you already know. Hey, listen, hop in the comments. Let me know what y'all think. I apologize for the first 4 minutes, man. I got too excited. I started recording before I was thinking about it. And by the time you knew it, 9 minutes passed. My rant was over, and there was no audio in it. So if you just skipped all the way to the end, skip the first 9 minutes. And then that's when the actual debate and the actual listening started, and it started happening and all of that. But other than that, man, you guys stay blessed, stay humble, stay focused, keep rocking, keep doing your thing. I appreciate y'all. I love you guys. Peace.